بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى يوم الدين. Before we begin tonight's speech, I would like to mention a few Islamic rulings about fasting. One of the things that is important is that a person that wants to do iftar, they have to make certain that the time of Maghrib has come. True, there are different calculators and different calendars that we use, but a person has to get positively, absolutely sure that it is Maghrib. Because if he has doubt or if she has doubt, the principle of istishab, it is a usuli principle that means the continuation of your assumption. You continue you continue your certainty, and that you have to say that it's still the time for fasting. It means that you're doing istishab, that it's still asr, it's still not maghrib. Therefore, somebody has to make sure that it is the time for maghrib before they do iftar. This goes along with all our prayers. Now, in some of the calendars, it says 2 or 3 minutes ihtiyat. If somebody gets certain with that, it's fine. But usually, basically 2 or 3 minutes, they are all in general pretty accurate. Another question that people ask is, what about injections in the month of Ramadan? If somebody needs to get a shot. See, some kinds of injections are vitamins. Sometimes there's IV that people need. According to one of the prominent maraja that many people follow, this is not considered eating or drinking because it's just going into the veins. Akl and shorb is something that you eat or drink. Some of the other ulama do ihtiyat. So those that follow, say some of the ulama that say you can't have IVs or you can't get injections, you can refer to this scholar that says that it is primarily followed. He says that you are allowed to get injections, you're allowed to have IV because it is not considered eating or drinking. It is just going into the bloodstream. And for those that follow different marajas, you can all look in the Islamic laws and research yourselves. Please recite a salawat. Tonight, brothers and sisters, as you know, is the 19th of the month of Ramadan. 18 nights have passed. If somebody wants to change themselves, this is the night. It is the 19th. This is the night that, according to some of our narrations, says that Suratul Qadr descended this night. It is the night that the entire Quran has descended. It is the night that in Suratul Qadr says, Innal malaika wal-ruh descend. All tanazzalul malaika wal-ruh. All the angels. Most or all the angels and ar-ruh, which is a big angel, a major angel, descends this night. But I ask you, brothers and sisters, the angels, when they descend, where do they descend? They need to descend somewhere. They are a metaphysical being. They are a being that is not bound by physical form. They need to descend somewhere. The angels descend on hearts. Whose heart can bear the descension of all the angels? Whose heart can bear the descension of all the angels? Because tanazzul in Arabic means every year, there's a continuation. Every year this event occurs. This heart is the heart of the 12th Imam. The angels, all the angels, ar-ruh, are descending tonight, if it's Laylatul Qadr, on the heart of Imam Zaman. Ajjalallah ta'ala faraja. Salawat. This is what the narrations say in Tafsir al-Burhan. The Prophet, Imam Hassan, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, asked Imam Ali about this Surah Al-Qadr. Imam Ali alayhi salam tells him that the Prophet told him, when this verse descended, the Prophet told Imam Ali alayhi salam, he got his shoulder and said that this surah is for me. This surah is for me, and when I pass, this surah will be for you. What does this mean? It means that the angels, when they descend, will be for Prophet Muhammad. And after Prophet Muhammad ascends, it will be for Imam Ali. Then the Prophet says it will be for Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein to the other Imams. So this is in our narrations that all the angels are descending on the holy heart of the Imam. This is the main event that's happening. But what happens to us, the servants of God? In this night, we get ripples and effects, waves from the main event, which is the descension of the angels. The effect of it hits us, which is one night for us becomes worth 80 years. Around 80 years, meaning one lifespan. Meaning that if one person observes this night truly, they will go forward 80 years. If one person observes 2 Laylatul Qadr, it will go forward 160 years. This is because the effect, the actual host, as Allah, and He's receiving the 12th Imam with the angels. Because of the 12th Imam, we get this benefit, that whatever we do tonight, whatever action you do, salat, you do dua, you help somebody, it will be worth 80 years. It has the possibility to be worth 80 years. It has the potential. And those that have been preparing themselves for such a night, from Rajab, Sha'ban, some of the Urafa did ihya of every night of the year so that they would be equal, they would receive Laylatul Qadr, because it's not known. So if you brothers and sisters observe this night correctly, you will feel it tomorrow. If you want to see if you really gained 80 years or you went forward in your spiritual journey, in your journey of completeness, you will feel it tomorrow. So I ask you humbly, brothers and sisters, tonight is a night that we can reflect on ourselves, that we can put away a little bit of the chatting and talking, that if you want to, you can progress 80 years. And this is from the barakat of the 12th Imam. See, brothers and sisters, one of the problems that we have is that we don't have himmat, we don't have ambition. We say that we fast, we do iftar, we pray, we go to work and we sleep, and that's it. We don't have the ambition of seeking true completeness, of seeking perfection. This ambition is something very, very important. One of the people that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of the people that protected the Prophet came to him later on and said to him, "What do you want in return for helping me?" What did this person want in return? He says, "Give me 200 sheep." His ambition was low. This is Sayyid al-Mursaleen. He could have asked anything. He said, "Give me 200 sheep." Imagine us. What do you want? I want, say, 200 cars. So I can have 200 taxis, so I can make money. Another story I'll give you that shows the exact opposite. When Prophet Musa alayhi salam was commanded in one of the stories to take the body or the bones of Prophet Yusuf, an old lady knew where those bones were. He asks her, he's commanded, he asks her, "Where are these bones? I need to fulfill this mission." The lady says that, "I'm not going to give it to you. It's going to be at an expensive price." So he says, what price? She says that, "I want to be with you, Musa. I want to be with you in heaven. Whatever position you have, I want to have the same position." So Musa alayhi salam gets confused. He says, "This is a very high reward to get directed to these bones." He asks Allah, the angels, and they tell her, "Give it to her." She asked for it. She had high position. She had high ambition. She had high himmat, that she wanted to be with Musa alayhi salam. See, brothers and sisters, we have people that have lived maybe 50, 60 years ago. They had this high ambition. And with this high ambition, they have met the Imam of the age. They have become a companion of the Imam. And nobody knew. One of those people, they say, is Sayyid Karim al-Kashaf. He lived about 50, 60 years ago. And his stories are narrated after he died from one of the big ulama, Shaykh Murtaza Zahid. He tells the story of Sayyid Karim Kashaf. Shaykh Murtaza Zahid was somebody that Ayatollah Burujiyardi would invite to give him advice. And because he was so pure, when he would give advice to Ayatollah Burujiyardi, he would start crying right away. So the friend of Sayyid Karim Kashaf is Shaykh Murtaza Zahid. And Sayyid Karim Kashaf, because he had this ambition, he had this himmat, he had this love for the 12th Imam. The 12th Imam, they say, asks him, shows him his position in heaven. He says, Sayyid Karim, this is your position in heaven. What would we do if we saw our position? We would be very happy, right? But he had ambition. He had himmat. He said something. He said to the 12th Imam, he says that, are you going to be there? Is that your position too? And the Imam, of course, his position is much, much higher. He's the 12th Imam. He said, no, my position is going to be somewhere else. Sayyid Karim Kashaf tells him, then I don't want it. I don't want to be there. And then the Imam from these stories says that this is why we like you, Sayyid Karim, because you are in love with us, the Ahlul Bayt. He had that ambition, right? So during these nights of Laylatul Qadr, you can either become and ask from Allah to become a perfect and complete human being the ways that our Imams have instructed us, to ask for the best, actions. Or you can either be like that person that asked 200 sheep from the Prophet and just wants a small reward. Because in the Quran, it's very interesting in Surah Al-Waqi'ah. It divides the people by three. You have the Ashab al-Yameen, the Ashab al-Shamal, right? The people who will get their book on their left, the people that will get it on their right. People that will get it on the right will be forever happy. Those that will get it on the left will go to hell. But the Quran has another group. And that group is As-Sabiqun, As-Sabiqun, Ulaika Al-Muqarrabun. There's another group. If logically we divide this, we would either have people that are really good, or bad, or really bad. There's 4 divisions. Allah doesn't mention 4 divisions, mentions 3. You're either bad, or you're good, or you're one of the very good. You're one of the sabiqun, those that did not hesitate, those that had very high ambition. Because the day of judgment, brothers and sisters, and I say this to myself first, the day of judgment is Yawmul Hasra, as the day of grief, as the day of regret. That when we see the position of the Sabiqun, when we see the position of the Muqarrabun, the higher people, we regret, we say, I wish that during the nights of Qadr, I asked Allah, because these nights the doors of Allah are open. If you ask Allah, He will give you. I wished I would have asked Allah to be one of the people that were with the Prophet and the Ahlul Bayt in heaven. So it's up to us, brothers and sisters, tonight, that if we want to be part of the Muqarrabun, if we want to be part of the Sabiqun, that to ask this from Allah. And after asking, we have to try and attempt. As you know, tonight is the night of one of the most complete human beings that ever lived. That is the night of the martyrdom, the night that Imam Ali alayhi salam was struck by the sword of Ibn Muljam, Ashqul Ashqiya. Imam Ali alayhi salam is somebody, is a personality that is timeless. See, brothers and sisters, there are people in history that lived, they were influential, but after they died, the memories, their history was forgotten, right? There are people in history, in their time of life, they were important. But when they died, people forgot them. Then there are another category of people. There are a category of people that when they lived, they influenced society, but they affected society a little bit, they're a little bit remembered, then they're forgotten. But then there's a third group of people that they influence society, but they continue to influence society. And as long as humanity lives, they influence society. These people are timeless. They are not bound by time. Imam Ali alayhi salam is one of those people. He is a personality that is timeless. The more that time passes, you see the more people are saying Ali, Ali, Ali all over the world. All over the West, the East, everywhere. Whenever today in this time period a person thinks of the courage of Imam Ali, right, it helps them become courageous. He is timeless. Whenever a person thinks of the compassion of Imam Ali, today he influences us. It makes us help and think about the orphans, right? Whenever a person thinks about the love of Imam Ali, it inspires us to come towards God. So Imam Ali alayhi salam is one of those individuals that is timeless. One of those individuals that is for everybody. It is very interesting to know from the beginning that Imam Ali alayhi salam was born, Allah gives us a major miracle happens. And that is the opening of the Kaaba and Imam Ali being born in the Kaaba. The birth of Imam Ali alayhi salam in the Kaaba is not only for the Shia. One of the big scholars of our Sunni brothers, Hakim Nishaburi, which is, they say about him, that he is Hafidh al-Hafidh al-Kabir, Imam al-Muhaddithin. He is an Imam of people of Hadith. Hakim al-Nishaburi says this about the birth of Imam Ali. He says, فَقَدْ تَوَاتَرَتْ الْأَخْبَارِ أن فاطمة بنت أسد ولدت أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب في جوف الكعبة. That the narrations, this is a major scholar from the brothers, our Sunni brothers, that the narrations that Imam Ali alayhi salam is born in the Kaaba are tawatur, are mutawatir, meaning that they are so strong, they're so numerous that it gives you certainty that this has to have happened. So the birth of Imam Ali alayhi salam, according to our brothers, our Sunni brothers, according to this scholar, according to us, happened in the Kaaba. A question here arises first, is that somebody might ask is, are some of these narrations, somebody might ask, are they, na'udhu billah, shouldn't, for example, the Prophet of Islam, Prophet Muhammad, should have been born in the Kaaba? Don't some of these narrations say that Prophet Imam Ali is higher than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Please recite salawat. Our answer, brothers and sisters, is two. First, whatever fadail we say tonight about Imam Ali, it goes to the Prophet. Because the Quran says the Prophet is, Imam Ali alayhi salam is nafs, is the Prophet, is the spirit of the Prophet, is the essence of the Prophet. So whenever we talk about the Prophet, it's as if we're talking about Imam Ali, except that he is not a Rasul, he is not a messenger. And because he is the teacher of Imam Ali, whatever fadail you say about somebody's student, you're saying about their teacher. Because Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he raised Imam Ali since he was very small. He was very small, and he trained him. So this means that he had a great teacher. But the answer that I want to give tonight is in the Quran, is that sometimes when you look at, for example, the story of Isa alayhi salam, you see that Isa alayhi salam also had a miracle that nobody else, none of the other prophets had. It was when his mother, Sayyid Maryam, when they came to her and said, Ya ukhta Haruna, ma kana abuka imra'an su, wa ma kanat ummuku baghya. Your father wasn't a bad person, your mother wasn't a bad person, how did you have a child? Right? He had to defend the honor of his mother. فَأَشَارَتْ إِلَيْهِ. She pointed to Isa alayhi salam to answer them. He was just born. He was a newborn. قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ صَبِيًّا. They said, how can a child speak? Then Isa alayhi salam spoke a miracle that no other prophet had, that he spoke to the people. قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا. I am a servant of Allah. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. He is a child, and he's advising the people, and he is defending his mother and the chastity of his mother. Because these karamat and these mu'jizah and these miracles have a hikmat. There's a wisdom behind it. The wisdom behind the miracle of Prophet Isa alayhi salam was to defend his mother. Right? It doesn't mean that Prophet Isa alayhi salam is higher than Prophet Muhammad. It means there's a khususiyat, there's specifically something, a maslahat, something good. In here there is a reason why this needed to be done. And also about Imam Ali, there's also a maslahat, there's something in his being born in the Kaaba that Allah wants to tell us. He's not saying that he is higher than Prophet Muhammad. He wants to say there's something here that you need to pay attention to. That somebody is being born that is very important. So the birth of Imam Ali is a sign of Allah for us to pay attention to Ali. Because there are very many things specific to Imam Ali. Imam Ali alayhi salam, that tonight Ibn Muljam strikes him in the masjid, is not only loved by Muslims, is loved by Christians. George Jordah, which is one of the Lebanese scholars, he says something very interesting about Imam Ali alayhi salam. What does he say? He says something that sometimes, if you might say people with a low type of iman or faith, it would be difficult for them to accept. But because he has understood Imam Ali, he comes to this understanding that he says this. He says that if Allah, this Christian writer, said if God were to take away all our blessings, if God were to take away all our ni'mats and all the favors that he gave us, say the way we lived, our food, our clothes, everything, our cars, if he took away all our blessings, but instead gave us another Ali ibn Abi Talib, it would be worth it. He's a Christian. He said that Allah takes away everything we have, humanity. If he takes away everything that humans have and gives them another Ali ibn Abi Talib, it'd be worth it. Why? Because Imam Ali would guide everybody to the truth. Imam Ali would guide everybody to sa'adat and happiness. But we tell this Christian writer this, that we have another Ali ibn Abi Talib. That is his son, his grandson, Imam Mahdi. And Imam Mahdi, when he reappears, even though we are benefiting him from the spirit and the batin and the inner, we are benefiting from him. And it is encouraged during the time of the occultation to benefit from the Imam, to establish your spiritual connection with the 12th Imam. But we will benefit from another Ali ibn Abi Talib, Zahiran, apparently when he uprises, when he establishes a just and worldwide government, inshallah. Please give a salawat. So not only did Christians love Imam Ali, Mu'tazilis, some of our brothers of the Ahlul Sunnah, you see what they write about Imam Ali. Ibn Abil Hadid writes this commentary on Nahjul Balagha. And he's not Shia, right? From what we know, he's a Sunni scholar. He says that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says this about him, that he is the gathering of opposites. Opposite characteristics that nobody, not one person can have. Adad, things that are opposite to each other. What does he mean by this? How can you gather opposite attributes? For example, He says he was the bravest man. A brave man, a person that is forced to fight, that has scars. Imam Ali, according to some of the narrations, when he died, he had 1,000 scars on his body. 1,000. Back then, there was no medals of honor. When people fought, their medals of honor were their scars because they survived those wars. So Imam Ali alayhi salam had 1,000 scars, according to the narration. But at the same time, he had a warm heart. He was tender with the orphans. And he says that this is impossible when you have a general, when you have a fighter. You can't see him be very compassionate and at the same time be very cruel at the same time. Imam Ali alayhi salam in battle, when he was so brave that when he would yell towards the enemy, his friends would become afraid. His friends would become, this was Asadullah al-Ghalib. He was the conquering lion of God, the roaring lion of God. But at the same time, he would take care of the orphans. He was compassionate to the orphans. They say that Imam Ali alayhi salam once, during these nights, they say that when he was hit by the sword and he was resting, he says it was the last 48 hours, basically, that Imam Ali alayhi salam was living. There's nights like these. He calls the orphans. He says, bring these orphans that I knew, call them in. And according to the story, this lady that was the mother of the orphans says, look at Ali ibn Abi Talib. Now that he's dying, he cares about the orphans. How come when he was strong, when he's the Khalifa, when he was strong, he was the emperor, how come he didn't care about the orphans then? She says this, and then she brings the orphans in. She comes into the room of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and she sees his hands. When she sees his hands, she begins to cry. Why does she cry? Because she remembered this is the hand that secretly would bring provisions, would bring food for me and my children, and the orphans did not want to be known. I recognize those hands. So the hand that had these scars, 1,000 scars, was also the hand that cared about the orphans. So he is a gathering of opposite characteristics that is impossible for another human being to truly have. Another example that Ibn Abil Hadid says is that he was pious, he was religious, he was devout, but at the same time he was with the people. See, brothers and sisters, when somebody becomes, for example, an arif, a lot of times you see, or somebody becomes very spiritual, he doesn't want to mingle with people. He doesn't want to pollute his heart too much. He wants to stay away from people. He wants to be with himself and God. He wants to do dua. But Imam Ali alayhi salam, at the same time, doing 1,000 rakats of salat, praying in such a way that they would remove an arrow from his foot and he wouldn't feel it. The same person would care about the social affairs of people. Right? They say a lady was crying once at a butcher, and basically he ripped her off. He was mean to her. Imam Ali passes and asks her what happened, and she tells him, this, I need help, this is what happened. Imam Ali alayhi salam confronts the butcher. And maybe if somebody was just into salat and worship all the time, and this is very incomplete, they would just say, okay, I'm just going to do some salawats, I'm just going to do some mustahab prayer, I'll pray for her, inshallah she'll get her meat back. But Imam Ali confronts this person in such a way, this person didn't know it was Imam Ali, and he hits Imam Ali. He hits him. People rush in. They say, this is Amir al-Mu'mineen. The person backs down. He becomes afraid. He says, have mercy on me. He says, I basically just give back her right. Give back her haqq. So this is opposites. Somebody that is an arif, at the same time so caring for people. Also, we see that a lot of times when somebody becomes a king or a dictator, he becomes arrogant. many kings, right, they don't want to deal with people that are below them. But Imam Ali alayhi salam was also the king, was also the emperor, was also the general, the warrior, but at the same time he loved to be with the poor. And again, this is Jam'ul Adad. This is the combination of opposites. Imam Ali, somebody invites Imam Ali and says, have dinner. I want to invite you for dinner. He asks, will the poor people be in that dinner? And you know how people are usually. They'll invite wealthy, they'll invite people that have a status. They want to bring important people to their gathering. He says, okay, Imam Ali, I'll invite you with these people, with my gathering, and tomorrow I'll have a gathering for the poor. The Imam Ali alayhi salam basically says, then invite me that night that you want to invite the poor, and let me be with them. So you see an emperor, a king, that at the same time loves to be with the poor. This is something that is basically impossible for people to truly have. You see that people also, he mentions people that have a noble family. They dress very nice. They eat nice clothes. Imam Ali alayhi salam was from a noble tribe, right? But you see, he liked, because of what Allah wanted, he wore the clothes of poor people. He ate the food of poor people. So much so that he would lock his food. And this is some of the characteristics of Imam Ali that they said that we should not follow, or that he said not to follow. He would close his food, and they ask, why? This is dry bread. How come you're closing it? You don't want anybody to touch this dry bread. He said that I don't want my family to make this bread tastier for me. I don't want them to put oil. I don't want them to make it tastier. I want to eat this bread. But this is something that Imam Ali was specific for him, not for us to follow. So this again is the combination of living, being from a noble family, but at the same time living with wearing poor people's clothes, or wearing simple clothes, and also eating simple food. And of course, in our Imams alayhi salam, they had different time periods existed, that they had different clothes. And so this doesn't, again, refer to us that I'm saying for us to change what we're wearing, but I'm trying to give you some of the fada'il of Imam Ali alayhi salam, that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam would wear affluent clothes because of the time period that he lived in. But he would wear a very harsh type of clothes underneath. Please recite a salawat. So brothers and sisters, I ask you that these characteristics of Imam Ali alayhi salam that we mentioned about his life, what is the reason we said that Imam Ali alayhi salam is timeless? Imam Ali is for everybody. That Imam Ali alayhi salam, his effect is day and day, it's becoming more and more, especially in recent times. Why is this so? Is it because of the reasons that I gave you? Because his characteristics, how he was with the people, they loved him, how he treated his family, how he was in the battlefield? Or is there something else that Imam Ali alayhi salam had that makes him last, that makes him everlasting? Because the Quran says, Ma indakum baq, right? So, right? Ma indana baq. Ma indallah baq. Whatever is from Allah, whatever is from you, yunfit, will be gone. Whatever is from Allah will last. So what I want to say, brothers and sisters, the reason why Imam Ali alayhi salam is remembered is his attachment to God. Because once somebody attaches themselves to God, just how God is bagh and will always last, that person will always last too, and that person's memories will always last. So this is the reason that Imam Ali alayhi salam is loved so much. This is the real reason why Imam Ali is so remembered, is his connection with Allah. Allah loved him and wanted people to love him, and that he is connected to Allah. Now he has reached perfection, and now he will remain forever. In one of the great stories that we hear is the story of Mi'raj, the ascension of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Had a meeting. And the reason why I chose this word meeting, because there's no other word. He had a meeting that I can use to describe. He had a meeting with God in the Mi'raj. Prophet Musa alayhi salam had a meeting too. In the Quran it says. But so did Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But there's a lot of difference between these two meetings. One is that the Quran uses the word ja'a for Musa alayhi salam, that Musa went or came. But asra bi'abdihi, asra bihi. But the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Quran says we took him. Not that for Musa it says Musa came to us, but the Prophet we took him. This is the difference, they say, between a salik, somebody that goes and travels towards a journey, and a majdhub, somebody that's taken. The Prophet was taken towards Allah. He is taken in different heavens. In the fourth heaven, when he's reached, he goes higher and higher and higher. In the fourth heaven, he sees a tamthil, a replica of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He sees that the angels are circling it, just how they circle the Kaaba. They're doing ziyarat. The Prophet asks the angels, why are these angels, they say that these angels are deprived of, these are angels of the heavens, and they are deprived of doing ziyarat in this world. They're angels of the heavens. Therefore, Allah has made them a replica of Imam Ali so they can do tawaf around Imam Ali. And each angel once in their life will do ziyarat of Imam Ali in the heaven. So the Prophet goes higher. That was in the fourth heaven. He goes so high, as the Quran says, ثُمَّ دَنَا فَتَدَلَّى فَكَانَ قَوْبَ قَوْسَيْنِ أَوْ أَدْنَى. He's as two bows. When he stretched two bows, the distance between a bow, two of those, so it's a very, very small distance between him and Allah. And this is because the lack of, there's no other words to describe this, because Allah, His existence is separate, is different. But the Quran is saying the Prophet Muhammad became so close to Allah as if there's a very, very tiny gap between him. There in the seventh heaven, Allah asks him a question. In Mi'raj, a lot of Mi'raj is about the walayat of Imam Ali alayhi salam. The Prophet, Allah asks him this. He says, "O Ahmad, Ya Ahmad, who do you like the most in the world? From the creation do you like the most?" Well, it's very obvious when we're sitting here. If it was us, we would say, "I like Imam Ali." The Prophet, he has manners. He's speaking to Allah. He says, "Oh Allah, whoever you love the most." This is the manners that the Prophet had. Allah says, I love Ali ibn Abi Talib the most from my creation. Then Prophet Muhammad says, I love Ali ibn Abi Talib the most from my creation. They asked Prophet Muhammad, and this narration is from our Sunni brothers too, from Manaqib Kharazmi. He says, when Allah spoke to you, they asked, Imam Sadiq, they asked, basically from Manaqib Kharazmi, they asked, from when Allah spoke to you, there has to be a medium for Allah to speak, because His existence is separate than us. There has to be a type of medium, there has to be something for this voice to be heard. And they asked, بأي لغة خاطبك ربك ليلة المعراج? What language, what voice did Allah speak to you on the night of Mi'raj? قال خاطبني بلغة علي بن أبي طالب. He spoke to me with the voice of Ali ibn Abi Talib. فألهمني, this is from a Sunni narration. أن قلت يا ربي أنت خاطبتني أم علي? Are you speaking to me or Ali? Then, in this narration, basically it says, I spoke to you with the voice of Imam Ali. Why? فاطلعت على سرائر قلبك فلم أجد إلى قلبك أحب إليك من علي بن أبي طالب. I looked at your heart. You are my guest. When somebody is your guest, you provide, you give them an environment that they like. Right? You like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Liked Imam Ali so much, liked the voice of Imam Ali, that God had to choose a voice. He chose the voice of Imam Ali for him. And this says, because I looked at your heart, أجد إلى قلبك أحب إليك من علي بن أبي طالب فخاطبتك بلسانه كيما تطمئن قلبك, so that your heart can become comfortable. This is the seventh heaven, so that your heart can be at ease. The Prophet's heart can be at ease. He spoke with him with the voice of Imam Ali. You can refer this to Khwarazmi, his Manaqib. So this is the love of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the power of the love of Imam Ali. And inshallah, the following nights, we will talk more about the completeness, the importance of Imam Ali alayhi salam, inshallah. Please give another salawat. So if we can dim the lights a little bit. So tonight is one of the nights of Qadr. And the doors of Allah tonight, for us, the doors of Allah, the gateway of Allah is through the 12th Imam, through Imam Mahdi. It's through the Ahlul Bayt. This is the night of the Quran. It is the night of the Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because we're going to say bi Muhammad, bi Ali, bil Hassan, bil Hussein, bi Fatima, right? So Qadr is with the Quran, putting it on our heads, and is with mentioning the names of the Ahlul Bayt. This is the door and this is the gateway that we have to enter for Allah to forgive us, for Allah to make us one of the pure, for Allah to inshallah make us a complete human being. Because if you want completeness, come to the doors of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He is the most complete human being after the Prophet. Brothers and sisters, they say that Imam Ali tonight was at the home of his daughters, Kulthum or Sayyid Zainab. They offered him different food, salt, milk, and he would reject. He said, when did you see me have two types of food? He was somebody that was separate from this world. After the night passed, many people noticed that Imam Ali alayhi salam, it was not normal. Things that were happening were not normal. He would look in different directions. He would remember that what the Prophet had told him, that this night, the 19th, would be the night that you would be stricken by the sword and that your beard would become full of blood. And Imam Ali alayhi salam was, in some way, was excited or waiting to meet his Lord. He was, as he says, more waiting or excited to meet his Lord than a child is for drinking the milk of their mother. So this night, it was not a normal night. Imam Ali alayhi salam is going to the masjid. He's going to the masjid, and when he's going to the masjid, miraculous things start happening. As if creation wants to say, Ali, don't go to the masjid. He's leaving. They say that the ducks in the yard start moving. They start making a weird noise. They say that his belt becomes caught on the door, as if his belt does not want Imam Ali alayhi salam to go to the masjid. When he comes to the masjid, they say that he should recite Surah Al-Anbiya. They say because 124,000 prophets, all the prophets are there waiting for him. And in the salat, Ibn Muljam, the worst of creation, comes and strikes him on the head with a poisoned sword. And Imam Ali alayhi salam says, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba, I am successful. I swear by the Lord of the Kaaba, I am successful. Jibreel, the angel Jibreel screams or cries, Tahaddamat wallah arkanul huda. Ruined are the pillars of guidance. But very interesting, brothers and sisters, what I want to tell you tonight, and tonight is the night of tears. When you go home and you want to cry for Imam Ali during this night of Qadr, and you want Allah to have mercy on your soul because you are crying for Imam Ali, is this. What was the first thing that Imam Ali, his first command, when he was stricken by the sword? What did he say when his beard was full of blood, when his head was full of blood, maybe even his eyelids were full of blood? What did he say? He said, Ya walidi, urfuq ya walidi ba'asirik. Be kind to your captive. Ibn Muljam has just struck Imam Ali. Imagine, it is his murderer right in front of him. The first command of Amir al-Mu'mineen is to be kind. Urfuq bi'asirik. Be kind. Warhamhu. Have mercy on him. Wahsin ilay. Washfiq alay. Be compassionate. Be kind to Ibn al-Muljam. فَإِنْ أَنَا مُتْ. And then he tells them, أَطْعِمُوهُ مِنْ طَعَامِي وَاسْقُوهُ مِنْ شَرَابِي. From my food, give him. Whatever food you're going to give me my the captive, Ibn Muljam, my murderer, give him the same food. Whatever, if you're going to give me milk, he drinks this milk, says give this to Ibn Muljam too. Have you heard, brothers and sisters, anybody in history that right when they're hit, the first command they give is to be compassionate to that person, to give them good food, to take care of them, give them a comfortable place? Then he says, فَإِنْ أَنَا مِتْ. If I'm going to die, فَاخْتَصَ مِنْ بأن تقتله وتضربه بضربة واحدة. He says, if I'm going to die, if I die, then just hit him once. You can do qisas, you can revenge my death. But if I live, right? وَإِنْ أَنَا عِشْتُ فَأَنَا أَوْلَى بِالْعَفْوِ. If I live, then I have the authority to forgive him. وَأَنَا أَعْلَمُ بِمَا أَفْعَلْ بِهِ فَإِنْ أَفَوْتُ فَنَحْنُ أَهْلُ بَيْتٍ لَا نَزْدَادُ عَلَى الْمُذْنِبِ إِلَيْنَا إِلَّا عَفْوًا وَكَرَمًا. Because the Ahlul Bayt, what we do is we forgive those that do wrong to us. We forgive because this is Imam Ali. He would, if he lived, he would maybe have forgiven Ibn Muljam. Then Imam Ali alayhi salam says this: وَلَا تُمَثِّلْ بِالرَّجُلِ فَإِنِّي سَمِعْتُ جَدَّكَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says, don't cut Ibn Muljam into pieces. Don't do mithla. Don't cut him into pieces. Because the Prophet says, إِيَّاكُمْ وَالْمُثْلَةَ وَلَوْ بِالْكَلْبِ الْأَقُورِ. Even a dog that is a malicious dog, a biting dog, the Prophet said, don't cut a dog into pieces. Brothers and sisters, it is also Friday night. What am I trying to say? The Prophet says, don't cut even a dog into pieces. Where am I going to right now? What am I saying? It is the night of the ziyarat of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That Imam Hussein alayhi salam, we tell those people that didn't they listen to what the Prophet said? They says, even a dog, don't cut him into pieces. Imam Ali says, don't cut Ibn Muljam to pieces. But on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein alayhi salam sees his child Ali Akbar in front of him cut into pieces. He calls the Bani Hashim He says, the young people, the people of the Bani Hashim, come and gather Ali alayhi salam. Ayatollah Bahjat says, from this narration we understand that Ali Akbar was cut into pieces, because it would take the Bani Hashim to come piece by piece to bring his body. Not only was Ali Akbar cut into pieces, that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and the day of Ashura, he was cut in such a way that when Zainab salamullah alayha comes to him, says, "Anta akhi, are you my brother? You're cut into pieces." وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا إِذْ يَنْقَلَبُوا